want you to imagine with me that first Easter morning. The disciples are locked in their homes behind closed doors, a little afraid to go outside. That sounds a little bit familiar to us at the moment, doesn't it? Then early that morning, Mary Magdalene goes to the garden, to the tomb where Jesus has been laid. But when she gets there, she finds the stone has been rolled away and the body is gone. She rushes to Peter and the beloved disciple and tells them what she has found. They follow her to the tomb, and after going inside and seeing for themselves, they leave confused and afraid. But Mary stays in the garden, weeping. Not really the Easter joy and celebration we think about when we celebrate this day. Mary paints a picture of sorrow, and the disciples paint a picture of fear. She's distraught, and the disciples are confused. Not really how we like to celebrate this day, but perhaps this year, this Easter, we can understand a little bit of their fear and their distress as we celebrate Easter in separate locked homes. Perhaps we can understand a little bit of Mary's grief. He's gone. She cannot find him anywhere. Now we're lucky, we know the end of the story, but at this point, Mary and the disciples don't. Perhaps there was a good reason for Mary's sorrow, for the disciples' fear. After all, the way of life had been changed forever. Death was no longer the end. The way they viewed the world had changed. This allowed for a totally new approach to life, and that is frightening. Nothing will ever be the same again, and perhaps we can appreciate that a little bit more this year. Our world has changed, and nothing will ever be the same again. The tomb is empty. God is on the loose. He's been let out of the tomb, out of the boxes that we put him in. You see, I'm sure you're like me, and at times we like to keep God in a nice, neat box, under control, so we can deal with God how and when we want to. Perhaps you keep God in a box, and on a Sunday you get him out, and you worship God, and you give thanks to God, and then you put him back in the box at the end of a Sunday. Perhaps you get God in and out of the box during the week. If we do things that we think pleases God when we remember him, then we get him out of the box. But at other times, God is hidden away. It's how we like to organise the world around us, everything in neat little boxes. And we put our life into those boxes: work, school, church, family. But like COVID-19 has made us look again at the world and the way we put it into boxes, so the resurrection makes us look again at the box that we put God in. But if we truly believe in the resurrection, then God is free. Free of the box that we put him in. Free to speak to us, free to interact with us in different ways in the world. Perhaps ways that we might feel a little frightening, ways that we're not sure about. I wonder how many of you have received an Easter egg today. I confess I didn't. I bought this one myself many weeks ago. But if you want to enjoy your Easter egg, the first thing you have to do is take it out of the box. Only by taking it out of the box can you enjoy it and eat it. And the same is true with God. We can only enjoy being part of God's family if we take God out of the box that we try and put him in. And later, when you open your Easter egg and when you smash it, you will find that your Easter egg is empty. A reminder that the tomb is empty. That God is no longer inside. God is free in the world. So perhaps there's a reason for a little bit of fear and sadness when we look at the empty tomb. We should be afraid that if we try to control God and put him in a box, we are doomed. God is not in a box. God is free. We should be sad that the traditions and rituals that we stick to so closely are not the last word. God can be found anywhere, in our homes, in our gardens, as well as in our church. God has the last word. God broke free of the box on Easter Day and is free and running wild in our world. So perhaps we should be a little bit afraid. Perhaps we should be sad that the world is not quite that neat little box we want to keep it in. I want to end by thinking about the three characters who come to the empty tomb on that Easter day. Peter goes straight into the tomb, as impulsive as he always is, feet first, not stopping to consider any dangers. He sees the grave clothes, but he doesn't understand what is happening, and he returns to his locked room. Many people who approach Easter like Peter will see but will not understand. That doesn't mean they'll never understand. Peter later did understand when he met Jesus. The beloved disciple also raced to the tomb, but he waited around outside, being a little cautious. But when he entered the tomb and saw the grave clothes, he believed straight away. Many people will hear the Easter story this year, as they have done every year, and may be a little cautious, but will come to believe what they see and what they hear, and that is why we tell the story every year. In her grief, Mary wept and searched for Jesus. She wept so much that she didn't recognize Jesus until he called her by her name. Then she recognized Jesus, heard what he had to say, and followed his instructions. For all of us, God is calling our name, asking us to see him, to recognize him in the world. So this Easter, are we going to be like the disciples, attempting to approach in sadness and a little fear? Are we going to be like Peter, not yet quite ready to understand? Or like the beloved disciple, a little cautious, but truly believing? Or will we be like Mary, hearing Jesus call our name, inviting us and challenging us to follow him in the world, in whatever way he expects us to, in ways we could never imagine? Amen.